Friends, Democratize China is the vocation of the China's political reform team. I am Yun Tao, team leader. The members of our team are committed, experienced reformers, each specializing in a different area inside and outside the ruling party. 2022 will be year one of China's democratization. It will be the greatest event of our century, and it concerns us all. In order that you can witness the great changes in history, we publish videos in English in this official English channel of the China's political reform team. These videos fall into four categories. First, our various foreign affairs policies, especially the Sino-American relationship. For example, our plan, the Peace to Aid War in Ukraine, which has already been published. With these videos, you will understand the vision of the world of this future group, ready to take power in China, as well as the diplomacy of a new China's republic. The establishment of a union of democratic and peaceful nations is at the center of our diplomacy for maintaining perpetual peace in the world. We will also talk about Taiwan, which will be a cause of a third world war if China does not become democratic. Second, China's democratization activities. Our actions and the latest news, analysis, and opinion on the Chinese Communist Party and China politics. You will be able to follow the progress of the democratization of China and understand what we are doing. For example, our new plan for democratizing China, which has already been published. We will answer a question that interests you. Will Xi Jinping stay in power? Third, the presentation of our new model of humanistic democracy for new China's republic. Humanistic democracy is based on four theories: Confucianist humanism, the practice of Western democracy, Sun Yat-sen's separation of five powers constitution, including the executive, legislative, judicial branches, examination and control, and my current theory of the unity of the three sovereignties. It will be the main body of the new constitution of democratic China, humanistic democracy, which assimilates the advantage of Western and Confucianist democracies, while avoiding their shortcomings, is the most advanced model of democracy. It can also save American democracy. Firstly, the secrets to understanding the destiny of China and the CCP. For example, what is real Confucianism? When and how will the CCP die? Who can stop the US-China war? Which city will be the first special zone of democratic political reform? Hong Kong, Shenzhen, or Shanghai? I now present to you the first episode of China's political reform plan. Four principles of the model of humanistic democracy. Let's go. Which model of democracy does it adapt to China? The fundamental principle is that this model must adapt to the tradition of China's 5,000 years of civilization and the requirements of today's Chinese people. We must assimilate and not copy Western democracy. Of course, we should not refuse the democratic regime on the pretext of its current defects. To make a success China's democratization, we must first adhere to the four principles to design the model of humanistic democracy. The principles of progress, pragmatism, professionalism, and reviving tradition. Since China is not democratic, it is necessary to make its delay an advantage. The future model of China's democracy can lead the world by assimilating the advantages of existing democracy without its flaws. Because of its role on the international level, the Chinese model should serve as an example to the whole world. Why? Because with its 1.4 billion population, democratic China's economic size will be equivalent to that of 2 United States and 2 European Unions. The weight of China will represent more than 15% of the world economy. China has a responsibility to present a good example of democracy to the world. Its model must represent the most advanced political philosophy and concept of the regime to be a reference for the progress of democracy in all countries. Such a tough question for the Americans, between a poor communist China that threatens the world and a democratic China that defends world peace but surpasses the United States. Which China do the Americans prefer? In fact, this is not about their choice but their conviction. For peace or hegemony? I believe that thanks to democracy, our two nations will have more common values than now, like the commonalities of Confucius and the Washington and political parties. To be faithful to the public interest and no partisan. In Chinese, we say 公中不党. As Confucius said, the honest man is sociable but not partisan. 君子群而不党. And Washington said, I was no party man myself, and the first wish of my heart was, if parties did exist, to reconcile them, to be faithful to the public interest, and no partisan, is a principle of humanistic democracy. China's democracy should not work on the strangle of political parties or ideologies, but on concrete solutions. For example, democratic China will abolish proportional system in favor of the monopoly of parties on public life. However, we will put in place a quota of independent elected representatives in order to promote the principle of midway, which is the traditional virtue of American and Chinese politics. Likewise, the president must not belong to any party. The first, he should leave his party as soon as he is elected. The second principle for designing the model of humanistic democracy is pragmatism. A good regime must achieve a good result for its people and its country. It's pragmatism. China's political reform must first restore people's confidence in the economy currently being destroyed by the zero-COVID policy. In order to better understand the pragmatic operation of good governance, let's listen to Li Hsien-loong, the Prime Minister of Singapore.
What kind of political system do we want in Singapore? I would list 5 desiderata, desirable things. First, it must enable us to have a high-quality government, accountable, honest, competent, effective. You have to be responsive to the people, able to look beyond the short term and keep us safe and successful. Secondly, the political system has to be open and contestable. What do I mean? There have to be free and fair elections, and it must not be forbiddingly expensive for people to stand and contest elections. Thirdly, our political system must foster accountability so that the government is always kept on its toes and will always be motivated to look after the interests of Singaporeans. Fourthly, our political system must uphold a multiracial society. Fifth, our system needs to incorporate stabilizers. The government has to be responsive to the will of the people, but at the same time, you have also to have safeguards in case the country is swept off course by a transient public mood or an erratic government.
Our Chinese model should encourage the government to achieve a good result. The foundation is to select the best talents. As Li Guangyao says, if a people have lost faith completely in their democratic institutions because they cannot find people of caliber to run them, however good that system, it perishes. For this reason, we will implement driving state and voting training to restore the quality of democracy. The reason is simple. To legally drive a car, a driver's license is required, provided we admit that driving a country is no easier than driving a car. A state driver's license to gain the right to vote and stay in office is reasonable. The third principle is professionalism. Democratization is not just a slogan, but a plan that needs professional techniques. For example, compared to federalism, which adapts to American particularities, China must keep its unitary regime because of its history and its traditions as France. Thus, to control the influence of money on democracy, I propose to the Chinese measures of French democracy, such as, for example, the cap of electoral expenses and political donation. The last principle is the revival of tradition. We must inherit tradition and at the same time renew it to adapt to the times. We have to deal with two relations. The first is the general interests of the past, present, and future. They are at the origin of my new theory of the unity of the three sovereignties, which are those of the past, tradition, of the present, public opinion, and of the future, the destiny of the nation. This new mechanism allows the people of the present to defend the continuity of the general interest of a nation in history. The second relation is the link between reform and revolution. Revolution is the destiny of humanity, but it is very violent. We must constitutionalize the peaceful revolution, for example, with the referendum as General de Gaulle did in 1962. But in the United States, there is no referendum at the federal level. In the past, reformers within Chinese Communist Party have not supported democratization. Why? Because they had not a credible and pragmatic plan. Fortunately, the situation has completely changed. Our China's political reform team has designed programs, launched actions, and received support from the ruling elites. China's democratization is now on the road to success. I will tell you about it next time. Thank you all. Subscribe to our channel China's Political Reform to witness the great changes in history.